do, 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 do. I've been trying to shoot a video all week during the winter break, and it's not been easy because, like, events kept happening. Had to take the dog to the vet. My daughter had the flu. Finally got to sit down. What am I gonna say? What am I gonna do? Do, 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 do. Hello, fellow yarn wranglers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrie, and this is where I talk about making pretty things with pretty string, normally with 2 sticks, sometimes with a hook. And it's that time of year again. Although I did skip doing this video last year. But it is that time of year again, where I look back on the last 365 days and the things that I made. What did I enjoy? What did I not enjoy? What are my favorites? What are my fails? What are the new tools that I brought into my life? So hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, give this thumbs. Give this thumbs a video and find out my favorites and fails of 2024. So when I started outlining this video, the first thing I did was to go back to my video at the beginning of the year where I set out my stash busting goals of 2024 and see what did I actually get to? How many of the patterns in my queue did I actually work on? Maybe even finished. And I was quite pleased to see that almost everything on my list I have tackled, which is like mind-blowing. If there is a project that you are particularly interested in, down in the description box, you will find timestamps to different parts of the video, although I always hope you'll watch through the whole thing at least one time. But if there's something specific you want to get to, there are timestamps down below. Also down in the description box, you're going to find the links to all the patterns that I talk about today, as well as some various tools that I'm going to discuss and other resources I think are relevant to today's video. Some of these will have clearly marked affiliate links, so if you shop by clicking on one of those links, I might earn a small commission, and this helps support my channel. So thank you so much if you utilize one of my affiliate links, or you choose to leave me a tip with a super thanks or buy me a coffee. Utilizing these extra levels of support really does help keep me here on YouTube, because as much as I love making these videos, it is free for you to enjoy. It is not necessarily free for me to make them. So thank you so much. All right, let's get into some fun, shall we? All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually this, which is a in-progress work. It's a whip. Yes, I'm going to start with the whip. I've got it up on my needles, double pointed needles. I actually am knitting socks on double pointed needles. I will get more into that the why of that in a moment. But this sock is the Amphitrite sock by Nicole Simmons. And it was in my list of patterns to work on in 2023. I didn't get to it, so I finally got to it here in 2024. Yay! And part of the reason that I decided to go ahead and knit this sock this year was because I got this. This is a knitting belt. A knitting belt is one of the few different kind of traditional tools knitters have used to do supported knitting or lever knitting, which is the style of knitting that I do. And the way this works is you wear this on your waist, and then a knitting needle, I have one, a free one, it fell to the ground. Can I find it? Yes, just a second. So the way this works is you wear it, and the knitting needle, it has to be a double point knitting needle, it goes in one of these holes and it sticks out. So it's like a third hand is holding the needle so that you can load stitches on and off of your needle with your left hand and throw the yarn with your right hand. Overall, I have really enjoyed learning to knit with a knitting belt, and I can definitely see myself utilizing this tool more and more in my knitting life, although that means that I'm going to have to develop a collection of double pointed knitting needles. Oh darn, I have to buy more knitting needles. Like, only my second favorite thing to buy in the world are knitting needles, but that's okay. But I have really enjoyed this overall. This has been a favorite for me this year. as for the sock itself, I will say this has not been the most enjoyable knit for me. This pattern is a top-down sock that has a combination of both color work, which isn't that pretty, isn't that color work beautiful? But then it also has this sort of traveling stitch cable pattern down below. Some people might call this mock cables. I call this type of stitch pattern traveling stitch, and it involves at various points just crossing 2 stitches. So it's a very pretty pattern. Both of them are very pretty patterns, and I think that the way the designer, Nicole Simmons, combines them, like bleeds this kind of almost like wave colorwork pattern into the cable pattern below is very clever and very aesthetically pleasing. And it's just a very pretty sock. Like, I look at this sock and I'm like, this is a work of art. I'm so glad I'm making this. But I have not found it for me to be the most enjoyable knit. And it's strange to me because all the pieces of it are all things I really enjoy knitting. I think some of it is that the colorwork pattern itself, I really struggled. I kept making a lot of mistakes as I was working the colorwork. I didn't find that this colorwork pattern, as beautiful as it is, I didn't find it easy to memorize, but it's beautiful. Like, I feel like I'm failing the pattern. It's not like, and I want to be very clear about that. I feel like the pattern is not failing me. I think this is a me problem. Oh, there is one weird thing in the pattern I don't want to forget to mention. For like a row or two, like 4 rows, I think it's 4 rounds where you have a purl stitches continue down even as you're starting the color work. And I believe that's probably just to give more stretch at the top of the color work where you're still going to be at maybe a larger part of the leg. But it was a little annoying to work that. I think that is one of the things that was maybe making this pattern not quite so enjoyable to me, was like working those purl stitches as I'm doing color work. But overall, I'm going to finish this sock. I totally see myself doing both socks and not getting waylaid by second sock syndrome. In fact, I'm kind of curious now that I've almost worked the whole sock, if working the second sock, I find it a more enjoyable experience, and the things that were kind of frustrating me with the purls and the color work and stuff aren't quite as frustrating to me. If I get into the second sock before I finish this video, I will, you might see me edit Carrie pop up. Hey, future Carrie here. And I did in fact finish the first sock, and I even started the second sock. As I suspected, going through the colorwork pattern the second time, it is definitely going more easily for me than it did the first time. It's almost like going on a long car trip, and the first time it seems like you're never going to get there, but then when you drive back, it goes by so much faster because you're prepared for it. So even though I still do not find this colorwork pattern easy to memorize, I will say with practice comes more ease. So I do really love the results of this sock. So let's talk about another project though that for me was an almost complete win, an absolute favorite, which is my Blue Duck Shawl by Lavish Designs. I love this shawl. So if you follow my channel at all this year, you know that I kind of started a podcast format video. I don't know. I'm still figuring out what it is. If you have any suggestions on what you would like from a knitting podcast, please let me know in the comments. But it's kind of an opportunity to do some show and tell of things that I've been working on. And I did talk about the Blue Duck Shawl in one of my podcast episodes. So if you want to hear all my thoughts and everything about the Blue Duck Shawl, you can totally check out that episode. So I'm not going to go deep into it here today, but I did really enjoy this pattern this year. I'm going to take it off. Should I take it off? God, it's so lovely up here. I don't want to take it off. But I feel like you should be able to see the pretty pattern better. We're going to take it off. Okay. She's so naked. My mannequin is so naked. So this is the Blue Duck Shawl by Lavish Designs. This shawl is a top-down triangle shawl, and it features an overall lace motif. Oh, so I decided to knit this project because I got quite a bit of mohair yarn from my mother-in-law's stash, and this pattern was designed with mohair yarn. Isn't it? It's just so pretty, and like you can't see it, I don't think, on camera, but maybe if I lift it up off the table a bit, you can see there's just this beautiful fuzzy halo. It makes it so light and airy looking. Honestly, it's just so gauzy and gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It's really well designed. I love how the center decrease down here, how the motif is split so beautifully. It's just a very thoughtfully designed pattern. Let me show you the edging. How you can see how the edging bleeds into this beautiful, like very open lacy border over to the side, but it maintains the same kind of shape as the main motif. So it's a really beautiful integrated border. I will say, the lace pattern, this was not to me the most easily memorized lace pattern I have ever worked. Like every row I had to kind of check in with the chart and just make sure that I was remembering what I needed to do correctly. Because this was knitted in mohair, I did not want to make any big mistakes and have to frog back a whole lot, because frogging back mohair is not for the faint of heart. That being said, I do have a YouTube short tips video where I talk about how to make frogging back mohair less scary. So I will link that up here down below if you want to see that quick tip if you plan on working with mohair. But yeah, I love this project. It's been wonderful, absolutely gorgeous. If I'm going to a wedding, if I'm going out to a fun night or a fancy dinner or something, I would absolutely wear this shawl. In my knitting life, I feel like there was one hill, not just one, but there was a particular hill that I had never successfully climbed, and that was making a sweater. Finishing a top. I have climbed the mountain. I have done it. I have accomplished it. Yes. And that is by completing, ignore the little end that I have to just snip. Anyway, that is by completing this. This is the Ethereal Sweater by Knit Equals Joy. This is a top-down, in the round yoke sweater that features a hexagonal slip stitch pattern at the top. I made quite a few modifications to the pattern for myself. Namely, I turned this into a short sleeve sweater because I live in Southern California and I don't wear a whole lot of sweaters. Simple as that. And the thing that I learned about myself after working this pattern, this is worked in fingering weight yarn. I think I will be hard pressed to knit another sweater like this, or any sweater potentially in fingering weight yarn ever again, at least if it's something I'm going to wear for myself. Because when I got down here to the body of the sweater, which is all stockinette, I could have been trapped on Stockinette Island forever if I just knitted one color in stockinette all of this fabric. It would have been very tedious for me. I would have had a hard time keeping interest. The way that I kept interest was to start working stripes and asymmetrical stripes. So there's different stripes widths that I did, and that's how I kept this interesting for me until I got to the bottom, and that worked for me. That totally worked for me. Moving forward in life, when I work a top for myself, it probably is going to have to be in a DK weighted yarn or higher. But again, that has nothing to do with the pattern. That totally has to do with me. I want to hear from you when it comes to fingering weight yarn in sweaters. Yay, nay, let me know. I want to know what your thoughts are on knitting sweaters and fingering weight. I climbed Mount Sweater and my daughter watched me climb it and she's like, can you please climb it for me, mommy? And how could I resist? This is the Playdate tee by Needles and Life that I knitted for my daughter. Again, I have a whole podcast if you want more details about this pattern, but this is a top-down in the round sweater with a raglan sleeve and features short row shaping on the back, so you get a really nice fit on the front. And I know because it fits my daughter really well and it's adorable. By the way, I have knitted at least 2 tops this year that fit. Yay! And you know how I did it? I did it with gauge swatching. Yes, gauge swatches for the win in 2024 because the tops that I have knitted have fitted the way that I wanted them to fit. And I thank gauge swatching for this. But anyway, I really enjoyed knitting this tee and I enjoyed it so much that when it went on sale, I bought the adult pattern to make one for myself. I probably would have finished it at the end of the year, except I got waylaid by the Fasten Off Yarn Along. But here's my version in progress. I'm almost done. I just have like a few more rows of stockinette, and then I need to knit the ribbing and then finish the sleeves. Speaking of the sleeves, right here, you'll notice one of my favorite things of 2024, favorite products that I've used this year. This is barber cord, or it's frequently called barber cord amongst knitters and crocheters. Really, it's just hollow silicone tubing that's used in jewelry making. This is 2 millimeters, and I have a big reel of it right here that I purchased for myself. Very, very affordable to just buy a big thing of this, and you can cut off lengths that you want. And this is like a perfect stitch holder material. But the best thing about this is when it's time to transfer the stitches back onto my needle, I'll just use, this needle as an example. I can just take the needle and pop it onto the cord like this because it's a hollow tube. And then I'll just be able to slide my stitches very easily onto the needle. So yeah, really love having this in my stash. And this reel of barber cord is going to last me for so long. Because this is reusable. Like I'm gonna take these stitches off and then I'm gonna have these legs that I can still use for any like other sweater or t-shirt in the round projects that I'm going to use again. So I will have a link to this down in the description box. I will say though that getting to this yarn, I'm knitting this in Lion's brand Kaboo yarn, and that is like a lighter weight, worsted weighted yarn. The pattern calls for DK weight, and I tried 2 different yarns, swatched 2 different yarns that were labeled as DK, and they were too light for this gauge of this sweater. And they were beautiful. I'll put a picture up. These gauge swatches, I mean, look, the one was Bamboo Pop, and the other is a discontinued yarn from Valley Yarns called Prescott Valley. Gorgeous yarns. Absolutely love them. Would have loved a t-shirt made out of them, but weren't the right gauge for this project. This is Lion Brand's Kaboo yarn, which is a cotton bamboo blend, which I've really enjoyed the yarn. It's a little bit splitty. But not too bad. I wouldn't use my sharpest needles to knit with this yarn, but it's really soft. And I just really enjoyed this yarn. So overall, really enjoying this project. I look forward to finishing it and wearing it. Yeah, I definitely look forward to wearing this in the coming year. I'm sure you'll see a video of me wearing this. Because isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. When I originally was playing out the video, I'm like, oh, I'll do in the order of like favorite to least favorite to favorite project, fails first, then my... Favorites. There we go. That's where I was looking for. It hasn't worked out that way. I'm just kind of randomly sharing and talking about the things that I want to talk about as I want to talk about them. And I think next, I'm going to talk about my woolly wormhead hats for 2024. Total wins. Love them. Favorites of this year. In fact, you know what though? It's so funny. It just goes to show how long a year can be, because I think this was the first pattern I casted on for 2024, and this was not too far behind, and I kept going, I knitted this over a year ago. There's no way. But no, it's the beginning of the year. It's been a long year, because I could have sworn I made these in 2023, or at least this in 2023, but I did not. I'm first going to talk about this hat. This is the Azula hat by Woolly Wormhead. This hat is actually knitted flat. You cast on and you knit it side to side and then join the ends together. I graphed the ends so that hopefully it's a nearly seamless hat. I think I wasn't clipping on my ends this year, apparently. Every project, I'm like, oh, there's an end I need to clip. But anyway, these motifs that look like flames are formed using short rows. I love knitting short rows. I don't know why. I just find them really enjoyable. I find it so satisfying when I'm working short rows and I do I normally do German double stitch, and I did German double stitch for this pattern. So like do the German double stitch and turn the work and knit back and do German double stitch and turn the work. I don't know. I just find it very enjoyable. And I would knit this again. Would I wear it? I don't know. That's the only thing. It's like, I'm not really a beanie person. I feel like a cone head, but that's because I have a ponytail right now. Let's take that off. Let's not do that. Well, I don't know why I just did that. I just did that. If I wasn't wearing a ponytail, that would lay way better. But the other woolly wormhead pattern that I worked on is this one, which let's hope I got the pronunciation down. The Ionium hat. This is more of a tam, and this project is very special to me because I actually spun all of the yarn for it. Yes, I hand spun all the yarn. So the wool that I spun this from is Shropshire wool. The Shropshire was part of a Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month Club delivery, and I had a little bit and I spun it, and it was very rustic kind of fiber, and I really enjoyed it. So I bought a lot more than I needed probably. I ended up spinning more yarn than I needed, so I still have more of this yarn and more of this fiber that I can use in other projects. But I love this hat, love the way it turned out. If I was someone who liked to go into the mountains to go skiing, this is totally the hat I would bring. Like, can you just imagine being on this? I wouldn't be on a ski slope. I wouldn't ski. Like, nothing good will come of that. I'm too klutzy for it. But I could be, in the lodge by the fire, sipping cocoa, maybe with some Baileys in it, and just wearing this. Again, why am I trying to put on a hat when I'm wearing this? And wearing this hat. And isn't it beautiful? I just love this hat so much. You might have noticed my little mannequin head back here. And that's because she's wearing the last hat I knit of 2024. And oh, isn't she lovely? Hello, lovely. Would you like a martini? A flask? Do you need a hip flask? Yeah. All that jazz. This is the Rosewood hat by Wanted Knits and Crochet. This is a cloche hat. This is the first time I've knitted a cloche hat. And I saw this hat, the picture of this hat when the pattern became available, and I was just like, I have to have it. But this pattern starts off with a hemmed edge cast on, which I did talk about in another video demonstrating how to do a hem edged cast on. And it features this textured slip stitch pattern on the crown that can be worked in two colors like I've done here, which I love, or it can be worked in one color, which is really pretty too. It's kind of looks like a tweedy, almost textured effect. It's really pretty as one color. That being said, I'm glad that it was written in 2 colors and that I worked it in 2 colors, because having the 2 colors in the pattern really does help keep track of the slip stitch pattern. I would totally work this again, however, in a single color, because that looks really pretty too. One thing I do find funny is here at the top, part of me goes, I should have worked this in green, because the having the purple dot right here, it just reminds me of things. Does it remind you of anything? Reminds me of something. So yeah, one thing to be aware though with this pattern is this is pretty much like a one size fits most situation. The body of the hat is designed to fit snugly against the head, to paraphrase the pattern. It gives directions that if you need a hat that's slightly bigger, to go up to a needle size, but just for the body portion of the hat. But this is not a hat that comes in a wide variety of sizes. So if that's an issue for you or anything like that, then please be aware. But I really enjoyed this pattern. I enjoyed working it. It was a quick knit. It did not take me a ton of time. Like I said, if there's one thing I would have changed, I would have just done this in the main color right here, because it reminds me of something. I don't know, what could it remind me of? But how often are people looking at the top of a hat? I'm going to, well, that's another way to wear it. Oh, gosh, doesn't that look stylish? Just like that. Oh, love it. So I have these 2 headbands, and you might notice that there's I-cord on the end of them. And I'm going to be honest, knitting I-cord is probably one of my least favorite things to knit in the world. It's just tedious and slow, and now I have a solution to that, which is this. This is my cordsmith, and I may or may not have gotten the Swirls headband by Heck of a Knit, just so I would have a reason to use my cordsmith I-cord maker for the first time. This is such a cool tool. In fact, it's such a cool tool, I got 2 of them. This is the mini, which is for fingering weight and lighter weight yarns. And I have the regular size one for worsted weighted yarn, and you can see I've been making all this I-cord. And this is such a neat thing. It makes making I-cord so much easier and frankly more enjoyable once you get the hang of using it. And it does not take a lot to get the hang of making I-cord with this. The trickiest thing about it is just making sure you have yarn that's kind of appropriately sized for the I-cord maker itself. And I've seen videos of this being used to do I-cord bind off or do an I-cord applied edging. So I'm really enjoying this, and this has like become my favorite fidget toy at my work desk. Like I can be on a Zoom and I can just be like quietly, inconspicuously making I-cord on, you know, below the lens of the camera. Nobody notices, and I'm able to just make some I-cord, and I really, really enjoy this. So I love this. But the pattern itself, this is the Swirls headband. I've made 2 of them. This purple one I made for myself, and my daughter saw me making one and she wanted one, so I made her one in pink and red, because originally she wanted pink and white, actually. A little story time here. She saw this light pink yarn. She's like, I want that light pink yarn in white. And I was like, ugh, I don't know if that's gonna work. So I took the 2 strands, took a strand of the pink yarn, a strand of the white yarn. I did the twist test where I twisted them together, and I'm like, can you see the pink different from the white? And she just looked at it. She's like, I can't tell which one is pink. I'm like, exactly. And then she just goes, I'll do pink and red. And I was like, yes. And I was like, if nothing else in life, I have taught my daughter 2 important things: how to put a shirt on correctly and color value. That's a win. So I will always have fond memories looking at these headbands. So we have made it. We have made it to the end of my makes of 2024. I think that is everything not everything. There's a lot more spinning and stuff that I did, but I showed you at least a representation of some of the spinning that I did. And I didn't show you the weaving that I did, but that's okay. This video is gonna be long enough. But yeah, I think that was kind of my year in yarn. Maybe that's what I'll call this video, my year in yarn. Because that, I feel like, really does represent my year in yarn this year. In terms of a year of makes, I feel like this year of yarn has been a really good one for me. I'm very happy with things I've made. I definitely have busted through some stash, which is great. Yay me. I might pat myself on the back for that. But yeah, might need to buy some more yarn this year. But I'm going to try not to buy a lot of yarn on speculation and really do it intentionally. If I'm going to purchase more yarn, I feel like moving forward, I want to do it in a more conscious way in terms of like really having a plan for that yarn and not just buying yarn to buy yarn or even making more of my own yarn, because that's a very thrilling process, I have to say. To go back to my hat here, making this yarn, there's just something really special about knowing that every bit of fiber went through my hands and my hands are responsible for making every bit of this. You know, it is one more tool I have in my zombie apocalypse, bag of tricks. Okay, that is it for me today. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my year of yarn as much as I have enjoyed sharing my year of yarn. And yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your other yarn loving friends. Liking, sharing, commenting, all let YouTube know that this is a space worth checking out. Also, if you really love what I do here, please make sure that you are subscribed. Even if you think you are subscribed, just double check. YouTube does weird things. Just make sure you actually subscribe to the channel. And if you want to take your support just a little bit further, please utilize one of my affiliate links when you do some shopping. And I might earn a small commission, which helps support my channel. Or you can leave me a super thanks or a tip through Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, weeknight, whenever you are watching this. And of course, as always, happy health and happy making. Bye.